Sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm doing something a lot of you guys have been asking me for, and ever since I released the first Iron Scraps farming video that got nerfed very quickly, a lot of you guys have been asking me for a new updated one that's an actual legit strategy, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at two different spots. Iron Docks is the first one that we're looking at, obviously, and the reason we're looking at Iron Docks first is that this is the best spot to farm the scraps, period. Now, the other spot that we're going to look at later on is in Talador, and it is useful. And whenever I do a video, I always like to show like the most efficient way of doing something. And so right here, most people are probably not going to be able to do what I'm doing here. And so you're going to have to do it in a couple more pulls than it takes me, just because just the way that Bladestorm works with Die by the Sword, it makes this extremely easy for me to do. And a lot of other classes don't really have access to something similar. And so whenever I loot all of these guys, I got about 9 scraps. And so that's in under 1 minute, I get 9 scraps. Obviously, I can only do it 10 times an hour, so that's 90 scraps an hour, assuming that I don't do anything else and I just reset this. But it's really 90 scraps in 10 minutes, or 15 to be more realistic. And so anyway, the bosses can also drop the iron scraps. And so there's like kind of a not really a debate, but it's like you can kind of make a decision. Do I want to farm all, or like do all of the bosses and hope that the bosses drop scraps also, or do I just want to pull the big trash pulls? It's kind of up to you, really. I kind of wanted to try the bosses out, and out of the 4 bosses that I killed, one of the bosses dropped 4 scraps and the other 3 dropped 0. Now, that's not really any sort of indication on what to expect in general, but that's what I received, and so you guys might be able to receive at least something that's mildly similar. And so anyway, the first boss, like all of these bosses are relatively easy to solo as long as you have decent gear. Now, if you're some sort of tank spec class, you're going to have really no trouble with this just because of the way tanks are in Wards of Draenor, and just like right now, like especially if you're a blood DK, oh my god, this is going to be no big deal. And so anyway, you're going to have to kill this guy, and there's a lot of trash in Iron Docks, and the reason we're in Iron Docks is because for one, you can mount up, and two, that there's a lot of excessive trash. So there's like the trash behind this guy. There's all of those guys that we could kill with the Iron Stars. And if you guys weren't already hoping to see this, y'all are going to see it. Is I'm gonna pull all the trash of the Iron Stars, in that like huge courtyard area. We're gonna pull all of this, and we're gonna AOE it down. And so anyway, this is another hard pull to do unless you have a sort of way to kind of reduce all the damage that you take, something similar to maybe, I guess if you're a hunter, maybe you could use, you could kite them all in a circle or something like that. But this is, again, very hard to do if you're not the right class, and so you might need to do this in different pulls. And so that timer there this is all the same run, and I'll tell you guys whenever this run is over. I think I'll be killing like second to last boss, and that'll be end of that run. And so just so you guys can keep track of how much scraps I'm getting per minute or per hour or whatever. And so I just ran them all up in a little circle there. And so that way, because you have to run them around in a circle so they all get stacked on top of each other. This is obviously a pretty hard pull to do. And I'll show you guys at the end what happened whenever I tried, because I actually tried to pull every single trash mob in this entire instance all the way over to here, like the first boss, everything in the first boss's room, all the stuff behind him, and look at that, I got like 4 or 8 or something like that, and so that's 8 scraps again, and we're just looking at 3 minutes here. And so after that, I just went all the way through the little gauntlet area here, and that was actually really easy to deal with, just because the gunners and all that stuff actually took a lot of these guys to half health anyway, and so that saved me a whole lot of time. This isn't really that big of a pull, honestly. It's just maybe like 10-15 mobs, and so they died really easily. The boss fight this boss fight was kind of annoying to do, but as I said before, gear level, what to expect, I would say about like 650, maybe lower if you have if you're a tank spec class, and maybe higher if you're something with not a lot of survivability, such as a rogue or a mage. Just because, obviously you don't really have that type of stuff. And then there's 3 more iron scraps. And so what's good about this is you're almost always going to get a pack of iron scraps, a few iron scraps from each pack, just because of how many that you're killing. As I said before, if you're playing a tank spec. If you're not playing a tank spec, you're going to have all kinds of different problems. Now, another option, if you are just like, you don't really want to run through the entire thing, is I'm going to show you guys this other method that I also use, is that I've already pulled everything here up to the first, from the beginning of the instance. And I'm going to pull everything here and AoE it all down and then basically die, and then I'll run back and loot it all. Now, what's good about this is that obviously it's pretty mindless, and it doesn't really matter if you die because that's your plan anyway. The bad thing is obviously it takes more time, and sometimes you don't kill everything, and even if you don't die, you'd still have to deal with the boss, and so it becomes an issue anyway. I probably wouldn't have died if I didn't have all those dots on me, but this was whenever I was still trying to perfect the method. Now, guys, I dream of the day, and I don't know if in Blackrock Foundry it'll be possible, but it might be, that I can actually AoE down the entire instance in one huge pull, the same way as I did, if you guys remember, I did Grim Batal like that on my Warlock. And so here, as you can see, like they're pretty much all dead for the most part. As I said, I didn't really get all of them done because you kind of run out of, what do you call it? Your damage goes down whenever you're fighting over 20 targets, just because that's just the way that the fight works, and or not the fight, the game works, and you have like an AoE cap on like Blade Storm and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna run back after I kill all that stuff, and you guys will see what I got before. And if you look at the timer, it took like 2 minutes. Now, if you want to really maximize your time, this is what I would do to farm the scraps. Now, honestly, guys, I don't even use these things. Like, I threw away a stack of 200 of them the other day. Like, I don't care about these at all. So here's where I am. Here's the next spot where I'm at. I'm over here in Talador, and this is an easier spot to farm for more undergeared players and people who can't handle Iron Docks. It's right at the top of Talador, in between Talador and Gorgrond. And I've seen this spot looked at a lot of times in different videos and different guides. And so I'm going to show you guys basically the most optimal farming here. I'm going to be AoEing everything down in like one hit, or not one hit, but like one pull, and almost one hit. Like, we've got some pretty good gear now, and so it doesn't take me very long. And so a lot of other videos are obviously not going to be showing this fast of kills, and so you guys will actually really see, because like people obviously they put fake things. Yeah, I got one, okay, one, and again, this is not instanced. And so that means that if you have one other person farming here, you're fucked. Because there's not that many of these guys around. It's like there are some of them, yeah, but there's not that many. And so if you've got one other person, think about it, you got one other person trying to look around and try and kill these things, you're going to have a whole lot of trouble. And also they do a good amount of damage. There's like ranged mobs also, and they leash as well. And so it's not like in a dungeon where you can just pull everything in a giant circle, because they don't really, I guess, they'll just chase you indefinitely in a dungeon, which isn't the same way in an outdoor area. And so there are a lot of disadvantages to doing this, and the one main advantage to doing this is that it's very easy. And so if you're a level 100 character, if you have like 620, like even lower than that, honestly, you could come in here and do this. Like, you might have a little bit of trouble with a couple of pulls, but probably not. Honestly, probably not. Like, this is really easy to do. 2 iron scraps that are there, and so that's not bad. The Punishers actually have a pretty good drop rate according to Wowhead, and so you can come up to here. Like, whenever I farm this, I do everything in about 3 pulls. I do all the stuff from the I guess like the bridge to like the little sparring arena. Then I do like everything in the sparring arena, and then I do everything all the way up to this ramp and then down here. And so that pretty much takes me, I would say, and then I got 4 right there. And so as I said before, this is not a bad spot to farm. The only problem is that obviously you run into competition, and it's not as good if you're able to farm Iron Docks as well as I am. And it's also this competition, as I said before. I think honestly those are the 2 main ones. Is it's just competition, and you don't really get as many, and there's not really you have to wait for respawns, and whereas in an instance you can just reset. And so I'll show you guys, like, they respawn pretty quickly. And so unless you're doing the clears about as fast as I am, you're probably not going to have to worry too much about respawns. Like, there's a couple guys respawn there. I don't think that I think that I didn't kill them. I think I've already killed them before the first time. And so, I mean, the respawns are pretty quick. And so this isn't that bad of a spot. But, it's just, I mean, as I said before, if you can farm Iron Docks, farm Iron Docks. Like, I could probably get 100 and maybe over 100 an hour, I would say, on a good day on iron docks, and I'd probably get a lot less like that. And yeah, see, look, I'll show you. This is the big pull. This is what I wanted to end the video with, to show you guys what I've been working on. And I've been trying this, like I've tried this pull like 50 times, and I still haven't been able to perfect it. And I'm like 674 too, and so I've got pretty good gear. I don't really know what will push me over, but I do think BlackRock Foundry gear will kind of make the big difference here. And I wanted to kind of show how many mobs were here. Like I think that this is, I'm almost for sure that this is more mobs that I did in Grim Batal. It might be as many as I did in BRD, the one time I did that on my Warlock, but I'm not entirely sure. It was really fun to do. This is always fun to do, and it's just kind of frustrating the fact that I've never really killed it. But if you actually are able to do this pull, and that'll be probably towards the end of the instance, and probably into, of course, into the next expansion, this will be the most efficient way of farming Blackrock scraps, just by far. It'd be a mile. Now, honestly, guys, I suggest for everybody not to really even farm these. Like, just do heroics, just do your daily heroic or whatever, and they'll come to you. Honestly, they'll come to you. And see, I thought I had it. I really thought I had it, but then I realized that I didn't have it, and so maybe one day. So hopefully soon I'll be able to get it. But either way, guys, that's pretty much all it takes. Those are the best methods, in my opinion, to farm iron docks, and also to farm the Talador area to get the dark iron hordes, or iron horde scraps. Yeah, iron horde scraps. So thanks for watching. I might comment, subscribe.